Hey Don, I'm going to demo this effect area for you. I can see how it might be a little confusing as I've worked through it a couple of times, but if you'll look at the layers on page 140, figure 6-31, it looks like to me that that's where the key is, if you've been confused with going through the actual steps, because quite honestly I can see that how that would happen. So we are going to start back over on effect though, and if you look at this layer configuration on page 140, they have layer 1, which is actually the textured layer, and then they also have the background layer. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to get in here and deselect this. So first thing that I'm going to do is make this the background layer, this original Troy copy. I'm not sure if you, based on the steps, I didn't go through all of the steps, so I'm not quite sure where you, if this was always the background or if you unlocked it at some point in time. But right now I'm going to make this the background layer, and then I am going to lock it. And you'll see that I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm actually going to run through this exactly as they've asked us to do it. Alright, so there's the background layer and it's locked. So now I'm going to go to Effect on page 138, and I am going to use the image mode to reset the photo to RGB. I think I've already done that, but just in case, yep, it's RGB. The reason that you do that is because there are filters that you can't apply when it's in a grayscale mode, or filter effects, or layer effects. And then we're going to get the rectangular marquee, and I'm going to click and drag this around his face. And then we are going to, actually, we were supposed to add a new layer up here someplace. So here's the new layer. And then we selected the rectangular marquee, we selected his face, and then we are going to go up to Select and do Inverse. Now theoretically what should happen is that we should be on this layer, we should have this background available, and we should be able to apply the layer effects to that blank layer. Now what has happened in the past when I've tried this is that it doesn't apply it because there's not anything to apply it to. You'll see that I have the opacity at 120%. I selected the gravel under rock patterns. I appended it so we would have both of them. Anyway, going through all the steps, changed the scale, and then clicked OK, which according to the textbook, then that layer should apply to that layer. It doesn't. And I think that that's part of the confusion here, because when I looked at yours, that was exactly what you had done. That's what the textbook had told you to, and the layer effect wasn't applying it. So what I'm doing, if you just notice that, I created another total copy of the layer. I'm going to unlock that layer, which is just click on it and that unlocks it, and I'm going to name this Troy background, and we're going to see how this works. And you'll see I'm on this layer, so the selection that I created should basically be the same selection on this layer or any other layer that I have. I've still got it selected. I did a select inverse. I'm on the copy layer, not the locked background, but the copy, and now I am going to apply the pattern overlay. And now the blend modes. Well, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and apply it. Click OK, and let's go through this process and see if we can get to where they are with the picture of Troy actually showing through. Alright, so now I'm on number 10 on page 139, and you can adjust the blending and transparency of this texture to make it a bit more subtle. But first, this layer has to be rasterized, so we're going to control click or right click on the layer name in the layers panel. Control click if you are on a Mac, right click if you're on a PC, and then choose Rasterize Layer Style. And we're going to set the blend mode to multiply. And you'll see that I just turned on the background layer so we could kind of see what we're doing. And the opacity to 75%. And again, I'm still on this layer that has the texture. Now we're going to add another layer. And we're going to choose a color from the swatches panel or create one using the color panel or color picker. So I'm just going to choose this color. And we're going to go to Edit and Fill. I'm going to change that to color. Yes, I thought I had that color selected, but anyway, then we're going to click OK and OK. And now we want to play with the blending and opacity options in the layers panel until we have something we like. So let's again go back up here. Maybe multiply. That's not too bad. And we want to continue to make this selection active, so we've still got selected the inverse or the background rather than Troy's face. Now we're going to add one last effect. We're going to click the FX icon at the bottom of the layers panel again. We're going to select Drop Shadow. And we're going to set the angle to 121 degrees. The spread to 3. And the size to 8. And then from the contour option, we're going to select Ring. And then we're going to click OK. Now we're going to open the history panel to save another snapshot. Now I did not do that previously, but if you go up to history and we're going to save a snapshot. And it indicates to give it a descriptive name, but I don't see where we can name it, but maybe, let's see. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Probably in a previous step it showed you how to name that, and quite honestly I don't remember how to do that. So now we are going to see, for some odd reason, when the layer effect is applied, the actual texture is applied to Troy's face too, and that's not really the way we want it. So there's a couple of different ways that you can fix that, not indicated in the book, but I'm going to go back down here on the background layer, and you see I still have that selection. I'm going to do a select inverse, and now I have Troy's face selected. And I'm going to unlock that background layer to make sure I can copy it. Now I'm going to do a Command C, and I'm going to add a new layer up here. And I'm going to do a Command V, and now I have Troy more clear without the layer effect. So I'm going to just move this back down here. And you see I've moved him back down underneath the layer 1, which had the drop shadow and that effect. If I were to move him again underneath the Troy background, I would still have that gravel effect on his face, which I do not want. So I'm going to click and drag that up here, and that's more similar to what it is I'm looking for, or what we would be looking for actually if we were doing this in a actual job. So hopefully that helped. I can see how it was confusing for you, but I will upload this to YouTube, and if you need anything else, let me know. Thanks, Dawn.